Hi again, crafters, it's Cynthia. I am back with another video, and this time I decided that I was going to again play with my Zig Clean Color real brush markers and do a little watercoloring again with them. And this time I am going to use one of my all-time favorite stamps. This is the My Favorite Things, and it's roses all over, and it's the most beautiful background stamp of just a solid blanket of beautiful, beautiful roses. So this is truly a gorgeous stamp, and if you can get it, because it is still available, so if you can, I highly recommend that you grab one, because MFT, My Favorite Things, they do retire things after a certain amount of time. So even if you have to put it on your wish list, but if it's out of stock when you go there, you can also ask to be notified. So you just click that, give them your email address, and then they'll let you know when it comes back in stock. So I think you should definitely consider getting that one if you love flowers as much as I do. All right, so I have a piece here of my Strathmore watercolor paper, and I'm going to use the textured side again. It has a smoother side, but I'm going to use the textured side. And I just treated it with my anti-static bag. And now I'm going to try so hard to be a little more organized. I get excited and I get ahead of myself, so you'll have to pardon me. But I think I want to do something dramatic. I'm doing a Valentine card, and so I want to come up with something that's very passionate with intense colors and black accenting. So that is my plan. We will see how it turns out. So I'm going to use my detailed black embossing powder. And I'm also going to use my Versamark ink pad. And you know, now that I think about it, I might do myself a favor and actually use the smoother side, because black embossing powder can be just a little bit more challenging, and I want to give it the best shot at working. So okay, now I'm going to use the smooth side. So set that aside briefly, bring in the stamp. I'm just going to leave this face down. It does have a cling foam back, so if you have a large enough stamping press or block, you can put that on there, or put it in your MISTI. But I'm just going to leave it face up on the desk and go ahead and ink it up really well with my Versamark ink. And the piece of watercolor paper is actually cut 6 inches by 4.5. So my paper pad is 9 by 12, and so I cut it into 4 pieces, and they measure 4.5 by 6. So, but that's fine that it's a little big, because then that gives me an opportunity to trim down my edge and neaten it up when it's done. Okay, so that's all nice and sticky, and if you need to, you can look at it in the light and you can see that shine from where the wet ink is. So take my panel, and I'm going to do my best to lay it down straight, and then just go ahead and press all over. And I don't know where I put my brayer. I was using it, which means that it's now gone. Oh well. Fingers are always a great option too. I'm trying not to touch the edges of that panel. So this will take a lot of powder, but you can save all of the runoff. So the one thing though is that you want to try to not contaminate your black powder with any little bits of anything from your desk. So see, there's like a little bit of something I picked up, and it's pretty obvious. So I'm gonna let this run down the paper, and then it just makes all of that pop. Isn't that pretty? But it's a little thin here, so I will go ahead and add more. Yeah, black compositing powder, like I said, is a little finicky, and a lot of people just flat out refuse to use it. And I use it occasionally, but it's so pretty. And especially since it's a detail black. All right, isn't that lovely? Oh my gosh. Now the other thing that you want to be careful of is, because this paper is a little bit different, I'm going to make sure that I preheat my heat tool really well, and don't bring it to the paper until it's really, really hot. I think that was pretty darn successful. So here comes my famous little board, and actually it's the Epicurean cutting board, wood fiber. I got this at Bed Bath & Beyond for $20, and this thing will last me forever as long as I take care of it. And I'm really good about taking care of my things. I'm not too rough on them, and I don't, I don't share this between the kitchen and the craft room. This is strictly a crafting board. So I have a cutting board in the kitchen, and that is for food. This one is only for crafting. So now I am just going to go around and tape all those edges. And the idea behind this is that it's going to help keep my paper flatter, and then also just cut down on some of the mess. This is the first time I'm actually trying this particular stamp with that style. So we'll just kind of have to see how it goes, and hopefully it's successful. So the colors I'm going to use today are number 22, which is carmine red, and number 21, which is light carmine, and this one, which is number 80, violet. So I wanted to add a little dramatic splash in there, and instead of just going darker with the reds, I wanted to throw in a purple, and we'll see what that looks like. So it sounds like it'll be pretty. So I'm going to go on that theory. So I'm going to start with the light, and I'm not necessarily going to be following any kind of a design. I just want to pick spots, and if I were trying to do this in a more painterly manner, I would pay attention to high points and low points and shadows and all that kind of stuff. But that isn't necessarily my goal. I mean, you certainly could do that, but my goal was to try to show that, you know, anyone can play with these pens, and you don't have to have any painting experience or knowledge or training or anything like that. This is supposed to be user-friendly. All right. And now I'm going to go in and I'm going to put in the darker red, and this is beautiful color. I think when it comes to the purple, I'm going to use that mostly in the center of the flowers, and I will use that one far more sparingly. Because you can always go back and do a second coat, if you will. I know in watercolor painting it's all about layering, and you layer and layer and layer to create all the beautiful tones and depth and everything. And like I said, I'm not trying to emulate real painting here, but you certainly can go back and add more. All right, well, here a little more over here. Because once this gets wet, that paint is going to really start moving. And you want to try to be somewhat careful. And I don't want to kill all of my paper spots, you know, the clear spots in the paper, because that's going to really be essential when the colors start mixing to give you light and dark aspects. So all the points that are white now are going to be your lightest spots. Okay, so we'll just kind of see how that goes. So I really wish I had a smaller spritz bottle. I used to, but then I accidentally ruined it in a little crafting experiment that went horribly wrong. I Frankensteined something and it was a bad idea. But anyway, so my spritzer is ruined, and now all I have is just the big old squirt bottle from the drugstore. So let's go ahead and introduce some water. All right, I would call that fully saturated. So it's really pretty right here because that red and that purple have come together right there really nicely and created a beautiful rosy tone that's very nice. So that's good. So I'm just kind of gently picking up water and then a little bit of color from the edge. And see the pretty color it's staining my napkin there? Now I do have some hot pink pens, some different tones in pink, and I thought about doing that with the purple, which of course would be gorgeous, but I kind of felt like those would mix too well and end up creating, you know, just kind of a monochromatic look, and I wanted something more striking. So hopefully this is what I will get. All right, that looks really nice. Okay, so this, unfortunately, we have to wait to air dry. You could bring a heat tool to it to help speed up the drying process. And I do like to do that a lot, but I'm concerned about over melting my powder. So at least I might finish off with a little heat, but for right now I'm just going to let it sit. So I will go ahead and prepare the other items for the card, and I will come back when this is dry. All right, I am back, and this is dry, and I think it turned out absolutely stunning. Look at those colors. Oh my goodness. I love doing this. Oh my gosh. The last time I colored these roses like this, I used Distress inks as if they were watercolor paint, and they were fabulous. But now I can see that using my Zig Clean Color brush markers is also an excellent way to color these. And of course I have a ton of colors in those pens. I'm not sure how big of a set I bought. I really can't recall off the top of my head, but it was a fair amount, almost every color. There's a few stragglers, but I can buy them individually. So I noticed that they had a big display of those same markers at Craft Warehouse. So I didn't have my color list with me, but it's good to know that they're offered there. Okay, so there is that piece. And you can see that even on that board, it was so saturated with water that it still got a little bubbly, but that's okay. We can flatten that out. So, I really hate to cut this down, but it does need to fit on the front of my card. Now I can still save this little bit right here, and I think I will. I might turn that into a bookmark or something, but I don't want to get rid of it. And even if I didn't do anything with it, I can put it into my color book, which I'll have to show you sometime, with a notation of which markers created that watercolor look. So that way I'll have a quick, immediate visual reference for the future. So this little piece is just a piece of Nina Solar White, and what I did is I put it into my Martha Stewart scoreboard, and I just scored it on this side every 1/8 of an inch, and I did that all the way across, and so then you end up with this pretty textured piece. But since this had to be trimmed down, I'm going to have to trim this down as well. So it looks like it'll end up being right about here, and it'll be just about right. All right, so all of this is going to go onto a card base of just Nina Solar White 80-pound, and it's your typical A2 size, 4 1/4, 5 1/2 side folding card. This piece, and again, I am going to attach this flat because I want to, you know, help it stay down. And then this piece, of course, will be here on the bottom. So that looks cute. And then I will have a black scalloped and stitched strip to help make the transition between the two pieces. The last little bit that I want to do is add, of course, the sentiment, and I'm turning this into a Valentine. So this piece I cut with my MFT, My Favorite Things Dynamics Stitched Mini Scallops Rectangle Stacks set. And this is the third die in. It's the third die up and the third die down, right in the middle. So these are really, really fun. I love using these all over the place. And then I like it too because it's stitched and scalloped, just like this little black band. So there's some harmony there between those two pieces. And then the sentiment I'm going to use is from this stamp set, called Smitten With You, and it's another My Favorite Things stamp set. And I bought this on clearance, and I don't believe that it's actually available anymore, but it's a really nice sentiment stamp set. So I took the word love and the word you and forever. So it'll say love you forever. And I'm going to treat the surface. And this is just another piece, another little bit of the Nina Solar White. That is by far my favorite white cardstock to use. Now, instead of stamping in Versamark and using my black embossing powder, for the sentiment, I'm actually going to stamp it in VersaFine Onyx Black ink, which is my very favorite black ink. It's super, super crisp and just absolutely black, black, black. Not a blue black or a purple black. It is truly jet black. So, let's see. I'm just going to do my best here. And it's a pretty font. Love you forever. Oh, look how sweet that is. And then the nice thing is that you can sprinkle it in clear embossing powder, and I'm using the Simon Says Stamp Fine Detail Clear Embossing Powder, which is another favorite. And this combination, using the VersaFine Black and this clear, is something you will see me do again and again and again, because I love it, and you don't have the problems that you might have using the black embossing powder. So this is a fabulous alternative. So see, gosh, that's so beautiful. And you get that perfect look because the black is the ink. And if you went outside the lines with the clear, or there's a few stragglers, you can't see it. So that is why that is such a neat trick. Yeah, I'm not much of a Valentine card maker, but this is nice. Now that I've got my YouTube channel up and running, it's really going to encourage me to make some of them. And in a recent haul, I got some Valentine themed items, which I haven't shared with you yet, but you'll be seeing them. Okay, so see, now I'm going to put this a little bit, well, definitely more towards the bottom. Again, because I really want to focus on those roses. There. Oh my gosh, isn't that cute? That just has a little bit of an old-fashioned feel to it. But I really like it. So, there you go. I hope you had fun. I certainly did. And like I said, I absolutely encourage you to play around with your inks and some water, and you could get a little aqua brush. You could really do a lot of things, and so easily you'd be surprised. So please take the time to play around a little bit, and I bet you're going to amaze yourself. So thanks for sitting with me through this video, and please be sure to click like if you enjoyed it, and click subscribe as well, and then that way you can see all of my videos as soon as they come out. So in the meantime, have a lot of fun crafting, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye.